Did you know that Nami wasn't supposed to exist in One Piece? Or that Sanji was originally supposed to be the crew's sniper? Well, I found 32 secrets 99% of you didn't know about the Straw Hats. Starting with Nami's crazy fashion decisions. Did you know that 2 characters were foreshadowed through the clothes that Nami wore? In chapter 97, Nami tried on 2 different outfits. This seems completely normal until you realize that this outfit is crazy similar to what Boa Hancock wore when she was first introduced, while the second one is identical to the outfit Nico Robin wore when she was first introduced. Nami is just so smart that she ended up predicting the future. And Nami is, in fact, really smart. Oda even confirmed that Nami is the 3rd smartest character from the East Blue, only coming in behind Captain Kuro and Ben Beckman. But here is a secret you definitely missed about her. Ever notice that this tattoo on Nami's arm is blue in the anime, but black in every colored version of the manga? Because of this, no one knows if the real color is supposed to be blue or black. But that's not as crazy as this secret I found about her. You probably already know that Nami, in her earlier design, had a mechanical arm and a battle axe, giving her a whole different look compared to her current design. But did you know that before Oda decided to make Nami, he had made 2 proto versions instead of her? These characters were called Silk and Anne, and with them in the show, Nami wouldn't exist. Luffy usually asks people to join his crew whenever he comes across them randomly and is impressed by their skill. This was not the case with Zoro though, as Luffy sought him out on his own simply because of his reputation as swordsman. But did you know that Zoro, just like his distant relative Shimotsuki Ryuma, are the only characters to have ever beaten a dragon? Zoro did this the same way that Ryuma did, by chopping off its head while in the air. Zoro is also the only Straw Hat whose name is based on a real-life pirate. His first name, Roronoa, is the Japanese pronunciation of the name L'Olinais, who was a French pirate in the 17th century. But that's not as interesting as this. Did you notice that a lot of Zoro's attacks are named after different types of sushi? Like Toro, which is tuna, Hirame, which is flounder, and salmon, which is salmon. Seems like Zoro really loves sushi. Let's hope Sanji cooks some for him, but that's not likely to happen because of their hot-headed rivalry. These 2 are constantly fighting each other, and they also never call each other by their real names. Instead, they give each other nicknames, like Mosshead, which is what Sanji calls Zoro because of his green hair. This feud is so bad that it has been going on for more than 1,000 episodes. Speaking of names, ever wondered where the name Monkey in Monkey D. Luffy comes from? The name Monkey is actually a reference to the legendary Monkey King, Sun Wukong, who also shares a name reference with Son Goku from Dragon Ball. But that's not the only thing Luffy and Goku have in common. Both of them are extraordinarily powerful. They love to eat meat, and both have super messy black hair. Dragon Ball and One Piece have even had a crossover episode called Cross Epic. During this episode, we get to see Luffy riding the Nimbus Cloud, which only the pure of heart can do. But this isn't the first time Luffy has been seen outside of One Piece. You see, in 2009, the Japanese fashion magazine Men's Nono wanted to spice things up, so they decided to feature Luffy on the cover of their magazine, and boy did he look good. Have you ever wondered why Luffy has the Gum Gum Nomi? Oda stated that he intentionally gave Luffy the most childish ability possible to make sure that no matter how serious the story gets, Luffy will always be there to keep it fun and interesting by goofing around with his stretchy abilities. Now, I assume you like interesting and crazy stuff? How about hitting that subscribe button down below to not miss out on even crazier videos? Moving on to Usopp. You might have realized that his nose is a very clear reference to Pinocchio, but compared to Pinocchio's nose, Usopp's doesn't grow when he lies, and that's because a lot of Usopp's lies actually turn out to be true, like Tantataland existing, the dragon on Punk Hazard, the giant goldfish and Cerberus on Thriller Bark, and more. Did you know that the creator of My Hero Academia, Kohei Horikoshi, is a big fan of Usopp? He once even submitted a postcard of Usopp that was later published in volume 23 of a special feature called Usopp Gallery Pirates. Usopp has always kind of had an ambition of wanting to be a captain. In Oda's earlier design for the crew, we find out that Usopp was actually intended to be the vice captain of the Straw Hats. Sadly, these plans were scrapped. Usopp has come up with some pretty interesting inventions over the years. Everything from Nami's climate baton to his octopus shoes. But the invention that gained him the most fame was actually rubber bands. You see, when Usopp was in Skypiea, he introduced the people there to rubber bands. They were so taken away by this invention that they created a whole theme park called Rubber Band Land, and they even made a statue of Usopp. Now, let's move on to some even crazier facts. Like, were you aware that Robin is the only Straw Hat member besides Jinbe who has used Fishman karate, as well as being the only crew member to have never been invited to the crew? She just straight up decided to join on her own, and everyone in the crew just went on board with it. Another surprising thing is that she was originally supposed to be a man, and rather than being interested in history, Oda planned to have her be interested in botany. These plans were obviously scrapped. But Oda didn't get rid of the botanic bent. This was just transferred to Usopp after the time skip. The 4Kids dub is known for taking huge liberties when it comes to making changes within the series. One of these changes involved removing Sanji's cigarette and replacing it with a lollipop. But did you notice that in the movie One Piece film Z, Sanji is seen using a golden lighter? This lighter is actually based on a real one that Oda created together with a French company called DuPont. Oda likes to take inspiration from real-life sources when it comes to making characters. But Sanji's case was quite unexpected. Oda stated that he was inspired by actor Steve Buscemi, who once appeared in the movie Reservoir Dogs. But what's even more unexpected is that Jinbe was originally supposed to be a villain. This version of him would be a sea spirit from Japanese folklore. He would have had a mafia boss-like personality and would have been controlling Arlong from behind the scenes. Jinbe was the first known fishman in One Piece to use armament hockey, showcasing it during his fight with Who's Who. Did you know that Chopper is the only crew member who was invited to the crew by someone other than Luffy? He was actually asked by Nami to join the crew. It's hard to imagine anything that could make Chopper seem cuter than he already is, but this sure does. He happens to share a voice actor with one of the most adorable mascots in anime history, Pikachu from Pokemon, as well as Konohamaru from Naruto. In chapter 651, we get to see the Straw Hats represented as animals. But what's even more interesting is that Chopper is a bear in this chapter, even though he has stated on multiple occasions that he is a reindeer. The X-shaped mark on Chopper's hat is not just there for aesthetics, but it also relates to his role as a doctor. The mark shares similarities to the Red Cross emblem that is used at different hospitals. There are many mysteries surrounding Brooks' body, like how he eats or drinks. You would assume that he can't grow since he is a skeleton, and while that makes sense, it's surprisingly not true, because Brooks actually grew during the time skip. His official height went from 8.8 feet to 9.1 feet. How this happened though? We don't know. On top of being the tallest crew member, he is also the fastest. In fact, Brooks is so fast that he can even run on water. The reason for this is that his skeleton body makes him lighter, which helps make him more mobile. When Franky was a kid, he was personally asked to join the Roger Pirates by Odin, but he declined this offer. Yeah, you heard that right. Talk about missing a golden opportunity. Franky's introduction might actually have been hinted early on. You see, Luffy once drew a sketch of a shipwright that shared striking similarities with Franky, long before he was introduced to the story. These facts were pretty crazy, but if you want something even crazier, click here to find 33 secrets you missed about the Emperors.